What if I told you that there are multiple suns and multiple domes on this flat Earth, and even the rainbows show how local the sun is?
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Here's a great video from the channel called Truth. As I showed you this earlier, the sun is very local. In fact, it is in the clouds. We can clearly see that it is not million miles away, like NASA tries to tell us. All of that is lies. One of the images that we are often presented with is something like this. So we have the flat Earth, and then we have the dome, the sky, and all the luminaries. And although I think this is true, what most people don't talk about is the local domes. So I think we have a global dome. There are smaller local domes as well, and smaller local suns. And I think this sentiment comes from the Christian mindset, because when I was a Christian, I read the Bible verses where, God created the dome and the flat earth, and he then also created the rainbow for Noah, right? As some kind of a treaty. And so the rainbow was to me something that symbolized, or actually showed the real dome. And I never thought into that until recently, when I dropped Christianity for good. And then I realized, actually, when I started to use my rational brain, that the rainbow is not as big as the dome, right? The earth is so big, and yet we see that one part of the rainbow starts here at the one end of the town, and the other end of the rainbow ends at the other end of the town. So clearly that is not the full spectrum of the whole dome, right? And that's when I started to realize that rainbows are probably showing local domes. And so this local dome syndrome kind of led me to investigate the electromagnetic properties of the dome. And I think the dome is electromagnetic, just as the whole big dome is electromagnetic. The local small domes are also electromagnetic.
Wrong.
See that the rainbow just starts right here in the middle of the village and ends, in the other town. On this picture we can clearly see the beginning and the end of the rainbow, and again it just shows a local rainbow. And obviously we can find rainbows even smaller areas, such as waterfalls, where we can clearly see the beginning and the end of the rainbow. Again, this is obviously not the big dome. Here's a nice picture that actually shows the beginning of the town where the electromagnetic dome starts. Now here I want to insert another experience I had for quite some time, is that when you go from one area to another, you experience that there is a difference, a different feeling. You pass a certain area and it just has a different vibe. And I have this right here where I live. From the town center where I cycle to where I am, which is at the end of the town, there's a crossroad which I pass, and then I feel this is different. This is home. I already feel it. It's not like this dark depressive state like the center has. I can breathe. So you can experience this within one town and experience it between towns as well. Every town has a different vibe, right? And back then when I was a Christian, I explained it with some kind of spiritual fortresses. And although there could be evil entities that control a town, and they control it differently, I think there are also electromagnetic properties to it.
Are you stupid or something?
But again, this is really clearly showing how it is at the edge of the town. That's where the dome starts. And
You serious?
another picture I wanted to show you where the rainbow starts at a house, and it looks like an old house. We could even call it a castle, I'm not sure. But what I wanted to point out here is that perhaps this is showing us why some of these castles, some of these buildings are haunted. Because I believe that the two edges of the rainbow are probably portals. Portals to different dimensions. We hear people disappearing on this earth. Just like that. They go to a national park and they just disappear. Why is that? I'm not totally sure how this works actually, but my point is that the beginning and the end of the rainbow are probably portals.
Wow!
rainbows. And here's another nice image where we can clearly see the end and the beginning of the rainbow. And it definitely doesn't show the big dome for the whole flat earth, it shows a local dome. And shortly after, I realized that the rainbow showed a local sun and the local dome.
I'm sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
I also had one of the most bizarre experiences right here where I live. I saw two sunsets. One sunset was on the west as usual, but the other sunset was on the east. And I was like, what the fuck? And I mean, this was real. I have video proof for that, but I'm not going to show the video here because it shows my local area. But I could clearly see that there's one sunset there on the west, lighting up the sky and the clouds, and the other one is right there where it usually rises. And then I realized that this is really a local dome system with local suns. Because what I was just seeing on the east was the other local sun from the other local dome. And it was not just me. Here's another video that I would like to show you. This was in the UK and someone took this footage. Right there you can see the sunset. And here on the other side you can see the sunset right there as well. Okay, so I'm not talking bullshit here. This is happening not just in Hungary, it also happens in the UK and other places as well. Two sunsets right there, opposite sides of the plane, clearly shows that we are living in this electromagnetic local dome system.
Wrong.
Not only that, we can also see a double sun phenomena, which is on the same side there are two suns. Let's have a look at this. So we can clearly see that this is the local sun from this perspective and this other sun is from the other local sun. Just obviously it is smaller. And there we go, we have double sun as well. And again, I mentioned this before, but obviously this is related to the local sun as well and to the local dome, which is there's this sun halo or sun rainbow or sunbow as someone called it. So we can clearly see that this is a local system. The local dome is shown by this reflection. It's interesting that they call this phenomena the sun dog. Obviously the dog backwards is God, which is the warden. So I think that's why they called it sun dog. And again, we can clearly see here the three suns basically. Look at that, it shows the local dome and probably the two other local suns as well. Or it is just a reflection, I'm not sure. And if you want to make sure that it is not just in Russia, China and Hungary, here's a clip from Last Messages. This is from the USA. You can clearly see again the same phenomena here. So we have the main sun, which is the local sun for you, and this is the reflection of that for the dome, the local dome. One of the things that I was never able to answer to questions about the flat earth is that why the sun is not getting smaller when it goes down the horizon. Because we are told that it is all perspective and that's why it goes down. But no, because the sun is quite big when it goes down. And it looks like it just disappears. So in this footage, for instance, we are going towards the sun and yet it doesn't become bigger, right? So the sun is really just a projection, it seems like to me, and it's resolved through this local barrier, the local dome. On this footage though, we are going away from the sun and yet it doesn't become smaller. Wherever the sun is the same size basically. And obviously it doesn't make sense with the current flat earth model, because really the sun should become smaller at the edge and should disappear completely when it is becoming smaller and smaller, but this is not what we see. And so I believe we have local domes and local suns.
You need to shut the fuck up.
I want to show you a couple of movies that show the local dome. Here's a classic one, The Truman Show, which is the man of the true man. And we see here when we close the door that this dome is actually local. It's not the dome that we were told by the Christians that it is above the whole earth. It's a local dome, as you can see, within the town. And I'm not saying that dome doesn't exist. I think it does exist, the big dome. It's just that there are small local domes as well. Invisible ones and probably penetrable ones.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Truman lives. Here's a clip from the Hunger Games. Again, we can see the dome. If you look at it, it looks like an electromagnetic dome. You can see these hexagons there. Here she looks at the sky and already sees these hexagons on the sky. And she then tries to shoot an arrow into the sky to see whether this is electromagnetic. And indeed, you will see that this is electromagnetic, because all those hexagons show up. But also look at her attire. it is also built of hexagons, which is again showing that electromagnetic field. Again, she looks at the sky and she sees those hexagons, and then she tries to shoot an arrow into it again. And you can see the hexagons again. And now she shoots it, and now you can clearly see the local electromagnetic dome that was shot by the arrow. And right after this happened, the warden's surveillance system gone down. This is the warden obviously in this movie, and he doesn't understand what happened, but all of his system was totally down. Nothing worked. So perhaps there's some clue here. And then he looks at the projection, and then also the local dome is gone. But what's interesting is that after shooting it into that dome, it actually opens up and all the construction is also falling down. It's clearly not a natural system, it was built by someone. And then the world falls apart, hexagon by hexagon. Now what I also want to show you is Hillary Clinton's speech from Fox News, where she actually talks about the glass ceiling, which is the dome, and how there are cracks in it.
Hello, Philadelphia. I am so happy. It's been a great day and night. What an incredible honor that you have given me. And I can't believe we just put the biggest crack in that glass ceiling yet.
Here's another clip from CNN where Hillary still talks about the glass ceiling.
Although we weren't able to shatter that highest, hardest glass ceiling this time, thanks to you, it's got about 18 million cracks in it. And it may be hard to see tonight, but we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now.
Here's another clip from Net Varied, where you can see that something just fell down from the sky and everyone stops on the motorway. And here's another weird phenomena. Around the world, people find these weird balls falling down from the sky. Here's one we can see, the ball right there, and these look like metal balls, and they just create a small crater and they look like this. Here's another one, there's another one. It's all over the world, and these metal balls just keep falling down from the sky. So I think these are probably stars, you know, the fake stars. Here's even a captured picture when it was falling down from the sky, and here's when they found it. Here's a guy holding it. This one is found in Vietnam, Australia, Brazil. It's really everywhere. And I'm just showing you these things because, as we saw in the Hunger Games, when she shot the dome, then things started to fall down and fall apart. So perhaps this is something related to that. Something happened with the dome, and that's why it's falling apart. And we can see these weird metal balls falling down from the sky. Of course, we have seen something like this in the Truman Show. When he wants to get into his car, then one of the stars falls down, which is called Sirius. And then he doesn't know what is going on. And again, this is showing how they are playing with us, and clearly shows that we have a local dome set up above us. We are imprisoned in this asylum. Going back to the electromagnetic properties of the local dome, I want to show you this short clip from the arrow from the channel A Doorway. We can see that she is running and she's going to run into the dome. And then she can't go further, and once she gets up, then we can see again the hexagon, and showing that this is an electromagnetic dome system. You can see it right here. It's a fucking electromagnetic dome right there, closing us in. And then we can see the same thing from under the dome. We are even told that no one can leave, and it's again a local electromagnetic dome that imprisons the citizens of this town.
The problem with people like this is that they are so stupid that they have no idea how stupid they are.